Alright. Hello everyone, my name's Izzy. I'm just gonna do a quick rundown of my deck, because I feel like I did it on stream yesterday, and I feel like that helped some people out, and I like helping. So there's my current rank, so you can see where it's gotten me thus far in this current meta. And we'll actually just open up the thing. Yes, I know I have a lot of things all named Explore TFS 2, because I'm lazy. So here's the deck, and I'm just going to go through step by step. Starting off with the Bushins. Normally, having a Bushin in your deck, of course, is not exactly a controversial pick, but 2 has been a little bit. A lot of people run 3. I personally... Sorry. I personally found that having 3 frequently led to getting my hand clogged. Because this meta is a little too fast to be throwing out explore abilities constantly, and of course you don't really want to use a Bushin when your EX pocket is full. As such, I found only 2 works a little bit better, so that they're a little less hand cloggy. Trust Amid Suspicion is, I think, fairly objectively the best single target damage that Red has right now, outside of things that require like a lot of like investment or whatever, such as Claire, for example, and Liberating Slash, which of course is a legendary, so you can only have 1. But Trust, I only have 2. I don't run 3, because I again found it sometimes to be a bit of a hand clogger. Mostly because a lot of the time I don't want to prompt an action phase. And so therefore I found it to be a little bit hand cloggy, and also right now shields are a big thing. So getting them off using Trust Amid Suspicion is not a thing you want to be caught doing. You want to be using that on something that actually takes the 4 damage. Otherwise, you'd be better off with like Spread Shot if you just wanted to get rid of shields. Liberating Slash is kind of a staple for any control-based or mid-range, basically any non-aggro red deck. Does 9 damage to a thing, and then heals whatever owned that for 9. It has the utility of being able to hit your own units, so it can be used against Brainwashed and all that good stuff, and also, like, sometimes things just try to timer scam you now and then, and it's really useful for those times. Particularly Black, because Black has better healing than anything else in the game. Because, yeah, that makes sense. Anyways, I have 1 Mikael. The 1 Mikael was because... The 1 Mikael was because, in all honesty, I feel like I have enough of every really worthwhile explore in the deck. I felt like 3 Gendromes. Like, I think that Mikael's explanation kind of needs to go with Gendrome. Or Gendrome, I don't really know. But Gendrome, like, at 3, I did run it at 3 for a while. And while I liked it, I found myself getting my board clogged too frequently with tiny little boys. Which is fine, honestly. Like, it means that I'm in the lead, but it means that I can't push the lead quite as much. Also, the little boys don't trade too great right now, due to everything having a shield. And there's really... The best thing I found to use the little boys against was Bandersnatch, which kind of doesn't matter. It also will it will chump block really well, but that's why there's 2 of it. Mikael I have 1 of, because I don't have it unleashed. and that's probably another controversial pick, but I'll get to that later. But Mikhail, I wound up finding was actually pretty good at 1. Um, due to the fact that he is a 3-drop. That's the main reason. He's a 3-drop that isn't Wolfang, that isn't Hellbat, and therefore can get you your explore count a little bit faster. Ammo is an okay card. It's pretty good, but I would find it significantly less useful than Detonate or Trauma. Then we have 3 Clairs. That's pretty much a staple for any antibody activation deck. You have 3 Clairs. Same goes for Hellbat. You have 3 Hellbats. Because it's just that good. Torchbearer Axel. So, I actually took out Torchbearer for a little while. Because I was kind of on the fence about him against Black. He isn't great against Black. The thing is that, as it turns out, like, against Black, you don't have very many good, like, great targets for him. You don't have the best. And by Black, by the way, I don't mean Uro. Uro, yes, you have great targets for him. You got 103, T103, Mr. X. You've got Joe, if they're running that. Gore, not the best target. Shigaru, though, very good. Get a 9-drop for 3. But I had some issues with him because of Black. Like, mono Black. The Black that you see everywhere. Dark Destruction Wesker, Spike Launcher, Raging Demon Akuma, whatever. And I found that he actually does work relatively well against them. You just kind of have to settle. You can't go for an ideal guy with him. Your best target, honestly, is probably Alexia. Because, hell, it's a 3-8 for some reason. It's a 3-8, you sacrifice 3 life, whatever. But it trades out. That's the whole thing, is that Axel guaranteed trades against anything in Black. So, yeah. Other than that, you know, you've got your green matchups where you can play him down on an Iris. I'll usually try to do that in such a way that I play him down just as the Iris is about to hit, so that I can get the Iris shielded, my Iris shielded, while theirs is not. And, you know, usually I'll get sealed, but hell, that's a seal that's not good. That's going on a 3-drop. That's sort of actually a thing that I've gotten onto thinking is fine. Is, oh, my 3-drop got sealed. Oh no. If they're not sealing any of the 3 legendaries, like the 3 big legendaries, I'm pretty okay with that, with things getting sealed at this point. Unless they seal, and this is another weird pick. Well, no, let's get to Mega Tortoise first. Tortoise is great in a control-based chill deck. He's basically going to be a staple in control-based red decks for a while, because that boy carries games sometimes, and he's a 3-drop that carries games sometimes. A frequent play that I'll wind up doing with Tortoise, this is just a little example of how to play him, is I will take Carlos or Gendrome as my first play against any given battery played by a Yawn. And after you've played enough Yawns, you can kind of feel when they're going to swap, when they're going to ascend onto their battery. And when I feel like that's about to happen, and Carlos or Gendrome or whatever is about to hit, I'll play Mega Tortoise just at the end, and then that'll make it so that when their Turtle comes down or their Witzel comes down, then Carlos or Gendrome promptly explodes in its face. And so then you're dealing with a 4/4 turtle or a 6/5 Quetzal, which is a lot easier to deal with than the normal versions. Um, and so that's a frequent play with Megatortoise. Another one is just him and Gendrome get along great, because Gendrome's Genbray do not have very much health. He also gets along well with Hellbat. When things are about to make contact with Hellbat, same goes for Claire. Like, there's a lot of different things that are relatively low endurance in the deck, and that kind of stuff gets along well with Megatortoise. And yeah, just 3 damage split is just really nice to have on a tiny unit. Tiny in terms of cost, not in terms of health. He's actually kind of sticky. Then we've got Blizzard. Now, Wolfang, I think, is the only good Death Explorer right now. I think that he is a bit of a risk, but I think he's a worthwhile risk. Because, again, he can get sealed, and that can fuck with your getting your 3 explorers off, but that's kind of okay. Like, if you have like enough explorers in your hand that you can get to that 3, Blizzard is okay to get, like, Wolfang is okay to get sealed. Because again, it's a seal going on a 3 in a row. That's fine. In terms of MP advantage, that usually will actually gain you a bit, because it's 2 MP or whatever, or 4 MP going at your 3 drop. So if it gets seed, that's fine, because you actually gain 1 MP out of that. If it gets disarmed, that's fine, because he's still a 2/5. They've still got to deal with him. And yeah, Carlos. Carlos is the best Explorer unit. Moving on. Nash, I run 3. I know that some people are running 2. I run 3 because I just find that he is kind of the highest quality, like, bang for your buck card that Jill has. Like, he's a 3/9 for 4. That alone is kind of okay. Like, take Gate, for example. He has to be ascended to get 3/9. And he's a 3. And to be honest, I think that Gate's kind of overpowered. But for that reason, just like on paper, he is kind of overpowered. He's kind of bleh in the actual game, weirdly enough, but that's just because of how power crept things have become. But he's a 3/9 for 4, comes out immediately like that. Doesn't have to be it doesn't have any kind of payment. If you have the 3 explorers, he's just coming out that way. He'll absorb an evasive action in most cases. And as far as, like, there are people that are like, oh, that's a weakness. Yes, that's a weakness, but the thing is that you can't really get around that weakness with Jill. Jill needs to buff her shit. It's just what she needs to do. So evasive action is going to be a counter to what you do. And that is fine. And then, of course, he's got combo, which a lot of the time absorbs a seal. Even if he absorbs a seal, he's still a 3/9. And that's not even going into, if you AA him, he turns into a 4/12 with shield. Like, that's a lot to deal with. Nash is a high-ass quality card. One Claire. One 4-drop Claire. Because I found that she makes openings really good sometimes, and will also be really good if you get a reset to neutral position. Where, like, I find this happens a lot against black, where, like, you're both at even mana, and, like, you're at even MP halfway through the game, and just everything has died, and now you're both just waiting for your MP to replenish. In that situation, Claire is really, really good. Because she allows you to like, the moment that you get back up to 10 or to 9 or whatever the hell, to just start replenishing your MP again after playing stuff out. And again, she's also great for an opener. Her Claire Hellbat, bang! You filled the board, and you've still got 1 MP left over, and you've done 2 explores. Did I say her Claire Hellbat? I meant her Carlos Hellbat. I'm not actually sure what I said there. But also her Gendrome Hellbat. Her interactions with Bushin are always good, because if something tries to kill her and then you Bushin something, then you have just turned one of your active time MPs into a real MP and gained another Explorer. I don't run 2. I don't run 2 or 3, because I found that Claire, when you get 2 of her in your hand at once, she kind of sucks. She's fine if you get 2 of her in your hand at once, during one of those reset to neutral situations, during your opening hand, whatever. Then she's kind of okay to have 2 of in your opening hand, but if things are active and you're like trying to keep up and you wind up drawing into a Claire, she's basically a dead draw, because she's a 2/7, which just isn't really all that relevant. A lot of the time she'll wind up getting Murderous spiked. She'll take 2 hits from a turtle, and respond with 2 damage, with 4 damage, which just isn't really a lot. And honesty, and one of those hits is going to be a spillover hit, so it's kind of whether or not she's even worth playing in that kind of a situation. And so that's kind of when you don't want to draw Claire, and when you draw 2 of Claire in that situation, then there's a real problem. Gendrome I kind of explained before, but again, great interactions with Megatortoise, great interactions with Claire Redfield, with 4-drop Claire, good interactions with Mikael. But one of my favorite things about Gendrome is honestly just the fact that he explores for a creature. He explores for a unit. You don't have to go into active time to use his Explore. You can just sort of play it out. And that is good in my opinion, because it makes it so that things from your EX pocket are more easily just, there it is, able. And that's kind of my favorite thing about him, honestly. Lucia. Lucia's a controversy these days. Because a lot of people are kind of well, she gets Murderous spiked, she gets sealed, she gets all this kind of stuff. And to be honest with you, yes, that can happen. And you can Mikael to kind of help her out. But if you can hold her hand a little bit, if they don't have Murderous spikes when you first play her, and then you AA her, they have to obliterate or betrayal her, because if they don't do something about her, they die. She will steamroll a black deck if they can't answer her. Because they don't have flyers. For the most part. Sure, BP Ashura has flyers, but that's it. None of them run Vega. And so, really, you're pretty okay in that situation. Fate-defying Ryu is ludicrous in this format. Brainwash is barely even a thing that we have to worry about. He gets hit by Obliterate and Betrayal, but that's it. And if he gets sealed, he's still a 3/6. If you AA him, he's a 4/9. If he doesn't get sealed, he runs through everything, because a lot of games go late in this format. And so he'll wind up doing 12 before hitting. He's decent in the middle of your hand, because he'll basically still run through a lot of shit. Yeah, if you play Jill, play Fate-defying Ryu. Just do it. Magma Dragoon. Magma Dragoon is the best card Red got out of this past set. Sometimes he's a little unsafe because he deals damage to your face if he blows up. But a lot of the time he won't blow up. He's hard to blow up. particularly when you AA him and he turns into a double shield 610. So I just remembered that I can do that. And also he has anti-air, so he's really good against Rezo, which isn't that relevant, but it's still around, so that's nice to have. He has anti-air, he has heavy pierce, he has agility, he has all that shit. And you can ascend him over top of a unit, which is another use of Gendrome right there. This is the only use of this is the only particular way that this use gets used in this deck, but that is a use that Gendrome does have. Is that he makes for easy ascensions, because basically you just pay 7 for Infernal Magma Dragoon to have his ascension effect. You just play 7 and there it is. Yeah, and I think that's it. Yeah, I think that I went over everything in fair detail. This got to be 21 minutes long, so I think I went over everything in detail enough. I'm not great at explaining things with brevity, and I don't have a script. So, thank you for watching. Hopefully this helped out. If you have any questions, feel free to @ me on Discord. Thanks, and bye.